I feel, as a poet, a responsibility to remind people that we were born astonished. We were never intended to grow out of our awe. So how do we approach very big issues and maintain our joy throughout? I mean, and not the whole time. And some of maintaining joy is being willing to feel our grief. Are there angles with my art that I can take us to the same goal of creating a more compassionate world without necessarily having to devastate myself and the reader as I'm writing?
Andrea's work doesn't aim to alienate people who disagree. It invites people into a conversation. It finds humanity and nuance in everyone. Their work has a lot more questions than answers right now, and it has more curiosity than rightness.
Years ago, I heard a poem on stage, and when I was listening to it, I went into that 4-minute poem with a particular value around something. After it was over, my values had completely changed. And after that day, I wrote, people's minds don't change quickly or easily, but art can change people's hearts in an instant.
I think there's a lot to be said about people feeling represented and seen and reflected in Andrea's work. But what I find is most powerful is when Andrea reaches somebody you wouldn't thought would be reached.
So in the beginning, I was writing a lot about coming out, the struggles of coming out. And at the time, I was writing a lot about queer marriage, how it wasn't legal at the time. As I started to build an audience, my poetry and my art was inspired by what I was feeling from the audience. Like, what was missing? If I would spend more time talking to people after the shows than I would on stage. And so I got to know what people needed. And a lot of what was happening was people were really struggling with their mental health.
Andrea often will be at a poetry reading or, even scrolling online, and they'll look for the thing that isn't being said and write from that place or produce from that place rather than like, what's everybody chiming in on?
There's so much happening in not a good way to the queer community, specifically queer youth and trans youth. I'm trying to figure out a way to talk about that stuff directly and without ignoring it. And also, at the same time, talk about how happy and wonderful my life is because I am a queer person.
It always seems to me that Andrea is looking to help, to inspire, to aid, to be that comforting voice or that inspiring voice or that like perspective altering voice for others.
How do we create joy within the queer community? And how do we help youth in these situations feel that life is actually going to be possible? And that's something just about, living with an incurable cancer diagnosis where I'm just like, how can we suck the juice out of life? How can we help children feel joyful as soon as possible?
Every single one of us can benefit from their perspective right now of how to face challenges, how to be present, how to find gratitude in every moment, how to not look at life as against you.
Because it took a lot of luck to make a living as a poet, a lot of things just align. There are so many poets in the world that are right as well as I do or better, and it's just, it was a lot of luck involved. But I always wanted my art to help, and so something like this, I think, reflects that somebody feels that it did help, and it feels really good.
I know that sometimes it can be harder to let the praise in or compliments in or thanks in. I hope you can take a breath and just let the love you've given that is now being reflected back to you into your pores and your being, and know that you have helped so many people, and your impact in this community and this world is huge. And thank you.